turning off this PlayStation. Come on. There we go. It should go off okay. And when it's on complete, I just take the plug out as well. Okay, so people, it's been a few days since we've done this, but we are back now. And we need to, I had a couple of topics in mind that might be worth debating. But I'm not sure now if I could remember which ones they were. What the hell is going on here? Shish. Sorry, I'm just watching all these people coming off this boat. Whatever the ins and outs and rights and wrong of all of this are, you see people like this coming along, they've gone through something, haven't they, to be able to get here where they presumably wanted to go. It must be cold over there too. They look frozen. Honestly. Anyway, what might we talk about? I have, when I can find it, I have a new poem. If anybody would like to hear it, when I can find it. Yeah, there it is. There you go. It's ready there whenever. I need to print it off sometimes and put it in my folder. Okay. So the weather hasn't been too bad here. It's been quite warm. Once again, it's getting dark. It's getting dark quicker of an afternoon now than it has over the last couple of weeks, which is really telling us that winter is upon us. I think we've been fairly lucky with the weather not having so much rain as some other parts of the country have had. I should, by rights, really have put some lights on before I started this, but never mind. It still does look quite light behind me, doesn't it? Even though that's not actually how it looks in here now. We're still in just as much of a mess as we always are. But you sort of get used to it after a while. The more I try to clear the table off, I think I've said before, the worse, the more my husband can find to put on there. We have been, or I have been thinking, and it has been sort of thought about before. My daughter and I sort of thought about it yesterday. We really need to get a storage unit, I think, and clear some of the stuff we're hoarding out the back there. A lot of it is for Carl and his filming stuff. It would be a good idea for him to have it all up together, not all in a jumble out the back there. Though he's very good in seeming to know where everything is, even if you're just looking at a pile of boxes and carry your bags. He's got a very good brain for finding out things easily. Whereas me, if I put something down, the other day, I had a particular pair of scissors I use if I have a parcel or something to pack. And this is a heavyweight pair of scissors to cut paper and cardboard and that. And all of a sudden it wasn't where it usually is, which is like in a little pot here behind me. I stick my scissors in that. And I'm thinking, I don't know what I've done with these. I'm looking over everywhere, particularly on the settee, and lifting all the cushions up and everything to make sure that anybody coming along wouldn't end up being stabbed by a pair of scissors stuck down the corner of the settee or under the cushions. Couldn't find it. Looked around everywhere, underneath everything, on the floor. Couldn't darn well find it. I lost it for about 2 weeks. And then last week, I was looking for something else. And what did I find? I find my scissors. So, as I say many times, if you lose something, just try looking for something else and you're bound to find what you lost the first time. And I couldn't believe it. And I looked at that, God, there's the scissors. There you go. So, aha. Why do they show you all these nice sunny adverts and things when it's in the middle of winter? I wonder. So, what else? What else? One of the things I was thinking might be quite a topic to talk about. Again, I may have touched on it before or not. Are we the only planet that has living creatures on it? Out of everywhere? All the things that are flying around up in space and around us? Hey, I'm down to talk about anything with you, Granny. We are Thunder Buddies. Hey, Ida Grass. Well, I'm trying to think of topics that we could talk about that people might have sort of some. I mean, obviously, I've got to sort of think quite seriously about what to bring up. No, so something that I've never ever got my head around properly is, are there aliens? Might there be some, and why, if there are aliens and they invade or they come and land down on our planet, why do anything that you see about aliens, mainly sort of movies and things, isn't it? Why do they always make it that the aliens are enemies who've come down just to kill us? They don't seem to work out that, that they would be friendly and want to get to know how we are here and perhaps compare it to how they are from whatever planet they've come from. The alien there was nice. Yeah, E.T. Oh. When that film came out, I had 2 elderly aunts staying with us, and they were one particularly was right intrigued with it all. And all she used to say from time to time, E.T. phone home. And that's all she had in her head. And every now and again she'd say, I remember that. E.T. phone home. The people on Earth were very mean to him. Yes, they were. But 2, 4, 6. Sorry, this is just something I'm seeing on here now. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about. Something about arresting a group of parents over something on WhatsApp. They're just going to somebody's house. Does it take 6 policemen to go to somebody's house to possibly arrest them? Does it take 6 policemen? I think that's ridiculous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now they've just shown it. A couple with 2 little ones, a man and woman, and 2 little children. Does it take 6 policemen to do that? What do they think they're going to do? Things are getting ridiculous. Oh, yeah, no, I'm not unknown. I am intrigued with unknown, which is why when I had my heart attack and they said to me that I would have this angiogram, the other people that were in the ward said, oh my God, what are they going to do with it? I didn't. The first thought that came into my head was, this is interesting, because I'd never been in hospital for anything other than having my 2 children, never been in hospital for any other sort of illness. And I was most intrigued. And I was even more intrigued, obviously not knowing, though they sort of explained a little bit, oh, they're going to stick a camera up one of your arteries and look at your heart. Apart from them doing that, I had no idea how it worked or what they would do. So I was intrigued with that. And then when I got in there, to be quite honest, I was not over the moon exactly, but I thought, oh my God, there was this massive, huge television screen right on the left side of me. I was led here, and the doctor woman was this side of me, because they were going to put this thing up my arm. And I saw this, all I could see was this television screen. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to see it all. And that I was, and I was thinking to myself, why do people get so, I know it's when it's an unknown, but for me, that unknown was, I just wanted to know. And I was so interested. Yeah. That most treat it as a threat. It's like being afraid of the dark. It isn't fear of the dark, but the fear. Yeah. I suppose fear of the dark may be because, obviously, when it's light daytime, you can see everything. When it's dark, you can't see as much. But your eyes do eventually get adapted to the dark, and you can see, not the same as the daytime, but at least you can see, so, and why would there be anything in the dark different to what there is in the day? I'm not quite sure. I'm just trying to think, if you were asked, what are you afraid of? And nothing immediately for me comes to mind. whatever, you know. No, as far as I can think, nothing comes to me, because whatever comes along in life for you or for anybody else, you know, your family, your friends, or anybody else, whatever comes along in life, what happens in life is life. You can't stop it. Most of the time, you can't stop. Life goes on, whatever. You're only afraid of running out of food. Yeah, we are, but society as a whole is a proper strange set of people. We really are. And you see, this then, for me, the way I think, it all comes back to the same thing. Why can't we live in peace together? Why, even if we might not like somebody or something, why do we not just put that little bit of tolerance to the forefront of our brain and think, we don't have to like this person, but we don't have to try and wipe him out or wipe them out just because we don't like them or because they've got something and we haven't. Fear, love, hate are all really, it's yeah. And I suppose really, you know, you see fear, love, hate and jealousy, the problem with it all is they are probably all on the same, what would you say? Would you think that maybe, let's take, you said fear. Would fear be of a greater thing than hate? Or would the feeling of hate be greater than the feeling of fear? Or would they be on the same level? I think, am I explaining this right? Subjective. Yeah, that's, yeah. I suppose it is, yeah. And again, I suppose this is what makes us in the society nowadays what it is, because we are so individual. There are, of course, we have our own I'm trying to think of the word, height of feeling, if that's, yeah. No one size fits all. That's why tolerance are important. Yeah. Tis the thing nowadays, and again, this goes back to what I've said before. When I was a youngster, when we were in school, you go out in the playground and somebody might upset you and you might have a little bit of an argy-bargy with them. And then you say, oh, you're not my friend, I don't like you, you know, go away, leave me alone, and all that. That used to happen when I was a youngster, and then you would go home and then you would come back to school the next day and you'd forget all about it. That somehow has now changed dramatically, hasn't it? Because you will get these youngsters, this gets me, these youngsters, they won't, some of them won't think twice about carrying a weapon around with them. I mean, we hear, like, you know, a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old killing another 12-year-old or 14-year-old. Beats me. What has got into these children's heads to do that? Terrible. That is so. Fails, I was shrimp but leaving the lurk it. I love Fims Master. I've got a new poet. Poem. Do you think I ought to read it now? Maybe I will. And to be quite yeah. This in a little way, this poem touches a little bit on what we're talking about, Ida Cross. Jealousy and greed and love and hate and everything. It's just a touch. And afterwards I will explain to you exactly what this poem is. Yeah? Okay? But you don't problem, does this they learn to manage it. Yeah, this is it. And not their parents bring them up with good morals. This is what I think of. I don't like to say it, but I fear it is true. A lot of this is to do with the parents. There has been a generation, I think, that has grown up that have not known how to deal with their children. And I know from my experience, I was an only child, and my parents, very good. Didn't go out and drink and get drunk and come home and get abusive. Nothing like that at all. They just went out to work, put meals on the table, made sure that I was comfortable, and they lived their lives like that, right? But then there was a generation that grew up with parents that really didn't know how to deal with their children. And I know I was very headstrong when I was a teenager, because your children do, don't they? You get to a certain age where you've got your own mind. You cannot, as much as your parents would like you to, you cannot be always guided by your parents. I mean, I used to say to my children, right, when I asked them if they were going out and about, where are you going? Who are you going with? And I used to try and impress on them, I'm not asking you to be, because I want to be nosy, because I know your friends and I know more or less where you go. I'm only asking you so that if anything was to happen, somebody could get in touch with you and tell you, not that something would happen and then people would turn around and say, well, they didn't know where their children were. And that was the only thing I used to put into my children when they were going out. Just please give me an indication of where you might be. And I think it worked. I always knew where my children were. Always did. And I'm wondering sometimes, well, I'm thinking of instances that have been on the television in the past. Some children, yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you what, I'll read my poem. It keeps going off. Here we go. It's called A Cornish Story. Cornwall, a county where land meets the sea. Green fields, blue waters, beautiful as can be. In years long ago, poverty was all there were. So many could not dodge the thrall, the power and persistence the rich had over the poor. Fishing and mining was all they worked for. A few pennies to keep a roof over their head, straw and a thin blanket to make for their bed. Two families who could never see eye to eye, one with money and power, the other in the style of honour and duty, back from the war, back to dereliction that he had not foresaw. His father had died while he was away, and left all he had in disorder and decay. Not much of an inheritance to leave to a son, even though at the war the battle was won. A ramshackle house and an old tin mine, a blot on the landscape of this view so sublime. Hard work to rebuild, plans to be made. The community need these plans, not delayed. This son, who was a most virtuous kind, only the care of the poor on his mind. He restored his home and restored the mine. gave hope to the villagers, as it was his design. He loves and marries a scullery maid. Rich looks down his nose, sneers, says that love will soon fade. The rich family don't forget or forgive. If people are poor, then that's how they live. The poaching and trespass, breaking the law, checking traps for the rabbits caught by its paw. On fierce windy nights, there may be a sound heard by some that a ship's run aground. Washed up on the rocks is cargo galore, bringing villagers hurrying down to the shore. These occasional happenings sustained these poor folk. A belly full of sweetmeats and brandy's no joke. Rich families saw displeasure and fury, the ones they catch up before an emotionless jury. It's deportation, prison, or hanging at worst. The result could start a riotous outburst. Deportation to Australia was common those days. Those thought of as convicts meant to mend their ways. This rich landowner thought he held in his hand the lives of these poor folk he did not understand. His opponent, who'd just come back from the war, was most unhappy at the things that he saw, was determined that things could change for the better. But his fight against riches was a bitter battle. Because of the coastline, little caves and inlets, hard for anyone to see, but smugglers with no regrets. A perfect place to hide away contraband, waiting to pass on to an anxious helping hand. And the women stand and wait on the cliffs before, when the mackerel are pushed by the waves to the shore. At this short period of time, people did well. Eat some, prepare some, to market and sell. With this time, our hero does not give in, gets the mine up and working, mining for tin. The struggle is hard, back-breaking for all, but the village is behind him and always come at his call. Then one working day, copper is found, hidden for centuries there underground. With much more than tin, success is in sight, reward for the miners who have worked day and night. There are still little villages near the land by the sea, with beauty unspoiled, that's how it should be. A tranquil spot in England, loved by so many, a piece of this world that won't cost you a penny, to soak in the sea and relax on the beach, to take in this sight, it's so easy to reach. The mines are all closed, standing silent and lone, high on the hilltop of hardship all gone. No more will a man have to choose darkness and cold to earn enough wages for food for his fold. A new age arrived, giving rich and poor much changed. Society managed to get things rearranged. Those old mining days, historic, it's a tool now used to teach young minds in the classroom at school. So give thanks to the days that we live in today. Be thankful, the new age, where we can work, rest, and play. There you go. That I don't know, because over the US, I don't know if you have, but that is about a series that I've just watched on television that first came out on our televisions in the 1970s, and it was called Poldark, and it was about Cornwall. Cornwall is where I am, not so many miles further along down towards the end of the coast, towards the end of land. It's called Land's End, funnily. We've got a county called Devon, and then we've got Cornwall, and Cornwall is right on the end of the British Isles. And it is well known in the older days for poverty and tin mining. And as I said in the poem, I don't think they mine tin there anymore, but I think they did up until about the 1970s. But this poem was the background to the series on the television, as I say, called Poldark. Poldark was a man who, as I say, he'd been fighting the war, whatever war that was, in the 1800s, and he'd come home to his father dead, and the little that his father had, I think his father owned a couple of tin mines and the house and some of the grounds around it. But it had all been left to more or less go to rack and ruin. The mines weren't working, and the house was, I think, when he went and opened his front door, it was full of goats and sheep and any animal that could get in there. Across the way a little bit was another person who was very rich, prominent businessman, owned the big bank in their area, and he had a lot of influence off of the highest society people. And there was always problems between these two. Poldark was not a greedy person, not a revengeful person like the other chappie was. And the story rotates around the ins and outs of these two families, the ups and downs of it all. Plus, Poldark was determined to rebuild his mine and give work to the people that had no work, because the people, they were starving. And he tried to get something up and running so that they could have as best a living as he could give them. And yes, and Cornwall was known for smuggling, and it was known for shipwrecks. And yes, the villagers, when they heard that, because it was very, very rocky around that coast, when they heard that a cargo ship had run aground, and of course, eventually it didn't take long for a lot of the cargo to come floating inland. So the villagers would come down to the beaches and they would pick up the cargo. No, this didn't have pirates because, I don't know what year pirates were about. There's no mention of pirates at all in this this story at all. At the time, and again, I'm not sure exactly how much of the story is actual true story, or whether the bit about the smuggling and the people getting the cargo off of the ships that had sort of broken up, and that is all true. But the main character, chappie Poldark, he had come back from the war, and there was an underlying thing that they were at war with France. And there's a part of the storyline where he went over to France because a lot of the villagers had joined up into the army of whatever it was at the time, to go on the ships to go over into France and sort of fight the French for something. It was never gone into so deeply. But whether I don't think we were at war with France then. I'm not sure. But that was mainly all it was about the ships on the sea, was the French, making sure the French didn't invade Cornwall, and Cornwall going over, and any of the people from the villages in that had been captured by the French, to try and bring them back to Cornwall. So no pirates. This wasn't a real pirate thing. This was more a story of two families so opposed, living so differently, with different ideals, and the community and the way life was in Cornwall at that particular time. It really is quite an interesting and rugged but very pretty part of the UK. And as I say, it goes right down to the tip of the land. And like I say, it's called Land's End. I think if I remember rightly, we've only been down there once. We went down to Land's End, and unless it's changed now, when we went down there, all there was one solitary public house, not far away from Land's End there. But they used to mine tin and copper, and that was how they made their living. Obviously, the people that owned the mines and the villagers and that went to work in the mines. Hey, Dan, I'm just giving you a history lesson on Cornwall. Now, I don't know if you've heard of Cornwall before, but Cornwall is is right at the end, south end. So would be south, and west would be west that way, wouldn't it? Southwest part of the UK, and it goes right down to what they call Land's End. You go to the edge of the cliff, and there's just sea and masses of sea and nothing else. Yeah. What is there to know? I'm going to say, if you just come in, did you hear the poem I just read? I can read it again if you would like, or you can sort of whiz back on it. This started off, Dan, because of the poem I've written. And the poem was a vague outline. You'd like to hear it? Yeah. This is a vague, sketchy outline and a bit of background to a series that I've been watching on television about Cornwall, about life in Cornwall, about what Cornwall was doing back in the 1800s. I think it's 1800s. Let me find it for you, and we will read it again. Let's come back. I've got it on my phone. It needs to go on the printer at some point. Come on, God, it's longer than I expected. It's titled A Cornish Story. Cornwall, a county where land meets the sea. Green fields, blue waters, as beautiful as can be. In years long ago, poverty was all. There were so many who could not dodge the thrall, the power and persistence the rich had over the poor. Fishing and mining was all they worked for. A few pennies to keep a roof over their head, straw and thin blanket to make for their bed. Two families who can never see eye to eye, one with money and power, the other in the style of honour and duty, back from the war, back to dereliction he had not foresaw. His father had died while he was away, and left all he had in disorder and decay. Not much of an inheritance to leave to a son, even though at the war the battle was won. A ramshackle house and an old tin mine, a blot on the landscape of this view so sublime. Hard work to rebuild, plans to be made. The community needed these plans, not delayed. This son, who was a most virtuous kind, only the care of the poor on his mind. He restored his home, restarted the mine, gave hope to the villagers, as that was his design. He loves and marries a scullery maid. Rich looks down his nose and sneers, that love'll soon fade. The richer family don't forget or forgive. If people are poor, then that's how they live. the poaching and trespass, breaking the law, checking traps for the rabbits caught by its paw. On fierce windy nights there may be a sound heard by some that a ship's run aground, washed up on the rocks, cargo galore, brings villagers hurrying down to the shore. These occasional happenings sustained these poor folk, a belly full of sweetmeats and brandies, no joke. Rich families show displeasure and fury, the ones they catch up before an emotionless jury. It's deportation, prison, or hanging at worst. The result could start a riotous outburst. Deportation to Australia was common those days. Those thought of as convicts were meant to mend their ways. This rich landowner thought he held in his hand the lives of these poor folk he did not understand. His opponent, who'd just come back from the war, was most unhappy at the things that he saw, was determined that things could change for the better, but his fight against riches was a bitter battle. Because of the coastline, little caves and inlets, hard for anyone to see, but smugglers, and with no regrets, a perfect place to hide away contraband, waiting to pass on to an anxious helping hand. And the women stand and wait on the cliffs before. Then the mackerel are pushed by the waves to the shore. And at this short period of time, the people do well, eat some, prepare some, to market and sell. With this, our war hero does not give in. He gets the mine up, working, mining for tin. The struggle is hard, back-breaking for all, but the village is behind him and always come at his call. Then one working day, copper is found, hidden for centuries there underground. With much more than tin, success is in sight, reward for the miners who have worked day and night. There are still little villages near the land by the sea, with beauty unspoilt, that's how it should be. A tranquil spot in England, loved by so many. A piece of this world won't cost you a penny to soak up the scene and relax on the beach, to take in this sight so easy to reach. The mines are all closed, standing silent and lone, high on a hilltop of hardship all gone. No more will a man have to choose darkness and cold to earn enough wages for food for his fold. A new age arrived, giving rich and poor much changed, society managing to get things rearranged. Those old mining days, historic. It's a tool now to teach young minds in the classroom at school. Give thanks to the days that we live in today. Be thankful the new age where we work and play. There you go, Dan. And that was on the back of a television series that I had been watching. And I said I would not expect you to have had it over there in the US, because it is a very English, and it was a very, very long series as well. There was 5 seasons of it, but I have sat and watched it religiously every evening and every other minute I had, though I had seen it, because first of all, it was on our television in the 1970s, but the one that they're showing now on Netflix was done in 2015. So the actors in it are a little bit different. I would like to catch up with the original one to see how it is, but I think the story is essentially the same, and it is basically, yes, this series I watched showed very sharply the difference between the aristocracy and the poor. and it didn't really seem that there was many sort of middle class, more like we've got today. It was either very, very rich or very, very poor. We the thing was, a lot of we called them the aristocracy because they thought themselves above everybody else, and they had been brought up like that from the years and years before, because the aristocracy and the people, particularly in this, we are now talking about 1800, that where all this is going on. We had families who'd had their big houses and all their land had been brought down through generations of family to the son, to the next son, to the next son, so that it continued like it does today. But people today now, well, they're just called millionaires now to us now. And a lot of the millionaires and people with money nowadays haven't had it handed down to them. They have more been working hard and built up their own monies and things. And unfortunately, a lot of the, back then in the 1800s and that, unfortunately, a lot of the ones that had the money and the riches, the land and the big houses and everything, had it through one thing only, especially down that part of the world. And that is the very sad historic event of slavery. And a lot of them, that's where they got their money from. And they had a mindset where it was perfectly okay to enslave these people that they did, treat them like they were nothing, and work them to death and get the money out of whatever they were, they were in business with. And this, you see, goes on to another, turns a little way into another problem, another sort of story that I'm not sure if, I think it was said a little while ago when I was talking on here, about the place called Bristol. Bristol was built on slavery. And then we had that altercation a little while back along, a few months back along now, where the man who was a very big slave trader this is the only thing people said good about him, was the fact that the money he earned from slavery, he built Bristol. And when we had this little bit of a protest and things a few months back, there was a statue of this man in the harbour at Bristol, and they pulled it down and threw it in the water. I don't quite know what they've got there now. And there were various places in Bristol that had his name. Like Rhodes had his name, and there was a theatre that had his name. And I think the Bristol council and whoever, and probably in with the government as well, I think have taken his name away from all of the bits in Bristol now, so that he's not prominent there anymore. Because there's such a diverse community, and a lot of them did find it quite upsetting, knowing what, especially this man's statue, knowing what it stood for. And even though he might have done good in the fact that he built a town, way he earned his money was not good. You know. Yeah, there's something like that going on there, Dan. There is, isn't there? Because I think there is a certain level of society there that they will have the lower, what they call them, the lower classes or the lower caste of people. They would bring them in to work for them and probably work for them for nothing, and get ordered around and made to do all the manky work. Yeah. 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 And I'm sorry. I mean, maybe I shouldn't be thinking like this. I don't know. But my mother, because my mother went into what they call service, where she went and worked in the big house and scrubbed and cleaned and did everything else for the richer people. It was founded enough so that we had slaves here too. Another, yes. But you know, when I got a bit older, when I got sort of like a teenager in that, I mean, my mum went out to work, and of course had to go out to work to keep us all. I'm not against that at all, but and also because my mum, she was brought up for that manner of work. When it was me, you know, her, my dad, and me, and she went out to work. She went out to work to clean in a big house. Not such a big house as what she knew, but it was for some major's wife or something, this woman in that, you know. And what I used to think, as I got older, what I used to think, why can't she get down on her hands and knees and scrub her own blasted floor? Yeah, you know. But then you've got to think, no, my mother was going out there to work to earn money. That's right. But it's still caught in the back of my head. Why should somebody who is equally as able as my mother was, instead of just standing there or sitting there or reading the paper and letting everybody else clean around her, clean up her muck, you know? And my thinking is, you make the mess, you clean it up. But the trouble is, mistakes do get made, Dan. Mistakes do get made, don't they? I mean, when you think of some of the stuff that's going on now around in the world, and I don't think it'll ever be any different. If one lot managed to clear up one mess or one big fight or something else will erupt somewhere else. Yeah. I can't see it ever changing. They do get repeated. Things get repeated over and over again. The problem is, as well, I think nowadays, especially here with us, I just got watch the time. I can hear something going on. I expect I've got to go in a minute. What I can't see nothing progressing much here in this country at the moment. People seem to be struggling. And I think social media, I don't know about that sometimes. I mean, we've got a right old thing going on, as I expect you all know now, with our BBC channel on our televisions. There's going to be a right old thing coming along, isn't there, because of how they, so say, doctored Mr. Trump's speech a few years back. I mean, I think it's been well sorted out that people picked that particular thing to pieces and put it together again how they thought it should be. Did you like that poem? Yeah, going back to that. That was a rough outline of this series that I have been watching. If you're interested in seeing a little bit of it, which is on Netflix, it's called Poldark. Poldark. And Poldark is the name of, well, he really is the main character. But it does also go into a lot of family stuff between them all. But it also does give you an insight into the life of people in Cornwall back in the 1800s. It's a very, very long series, as I said, 5 seasons, and at least roughly 8 to 10 episodes at a time. Okay, it is later than I think. It's 20 past 5, and I am really got to go. 20 past 5. My husband's not come up yet, but I can hear something going on. But then again, I mean, I think, it might be Carl. We've got Carl here as well. So it might be him moving about down there. Yeah. Is the sun down? Do you see how dark it is behind me? It's very dark. The sun is not really come out today at all. Man, that sucks. Yeah. What's it like over there, Dan, today? Do you like it? Why do you hate early sunset? Yeah, I suppose, yeah, because it just tells you that the night is going to come along even quicker. Yeah. It's cool but sunny. You haven't had any more snow then? Ah. I prefer a nice long sunny day. I like a nice long sunny day. I don't like a nice hot sunny day. I just like it sunny. But I think I see no. The snow was uncharacteristic. Yeah. Well, if you get enough snow, you'll get your neighbour out there will replace that football inflatable to a Santa Claus, a Father Christmas, and perhaps you might get a sleigh with some presents and a few reindeer on there as well. Oh, that would be a sight, wouldn't it? Yeah. Oh, man. Do you know what? It's great to talk to you, but I think I better go now. I really should. I have to put some lights on out the way there, otherwise my husband will be falling up the stairs. It's just as bad sometimes to fall upstairs as it is to fall down. Yeah, thank you, Dan. And I'll have to think about something else to talk about. Maybe see if I can come on again. Put some health on Granny. I do, Crass. See, yeah, this took a very strange turn, really, this chatting, didn't it? Because we started off talking about aliens. Sorry, no, that's all right. Put some health on. Yes. Yes, right. I'm going to go now. Where's me mouse? Thanks everybody for coming along, and you missed the aliens. We'll have another aliens discussion. Hopefully, with a bit of luck, I'll come back again tomorrow. But we'll do a bit of streaming tomorrow first, won't we? Hopefully, I'm hoping there's not going to be anything coming up to sort of interfere. Oh, it's lovely, Crass. It's great you come along. You see how I like to talk. But it's better than saying nothing, I suppose, isn't it? And maybe I've given you a little bit of history of a little part of the country close to where I am. Yeah. I do, Crass. Thank you for telling you with the first. Oh, that's great. We kicked his booty, we did. And we're going on to Lincoln Tree. But then we come into some really good. We've got millennia to do, haven't we? And the Elden Ring beast. On to all of that. So we'll see how far we can get to that tomorrow. Hey, I gotta go. Loretta is down there too. Oh, of course she is. She's after in that Haligtree bit, and I've also got to find out where I've got to go to get that other thing for the trophy. Yeah. Okay. Have a good day, Dan, and Ida class, and everybody. And hopefully we'll meet again, won't we? I hope. You see, I'm starting to take it for granted that you're all going to come along the next day. I shouldn't do that, really, should I? Anyway, yeah. I will bid you goodbye now. There we go. Oh.